We know the science of addiction is when you're addicted to one thing, the propensity to be addicted to other things, it's in the same part of the brain. And so addiction to alcohol, which you had and overcame, then got replaced, it sounds like, with an addiction to sugar that then you had to deal with as well. So it's fascinating when it's kind of like whack-a-mole. You knock one down and another one pops up. You knock that one down, another one pops up. And so good for you identifying it. And I love your journey so far, by the way, because it's so indicative of the methodicalness that it takes. People say, well, I need to just heal of everything so I can move on with my life. And it doesn't work that way. You heal this, then you heal this, then you're like, oh, wow, let me try this, and oh, wow, I feel even better. Oh, I regress doing this. And so that's a part of the journey. People think, for example, eat a carnivore diet, everything gets better. Sometimes you have to add in things, take things away, and find that plan that's going to work for you.
Mhm. Exactly. Yeah. And I actually think that my sugar addiction was my first addiction, and
Yes.
found alcohol. And it's interesting, alcohol and sugar, kind of, alcohol turns to sugar. I actually can have blacked out from sugar before, even where I don't remember anything when I eat too much of it.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. My journey here, first of all, the last thing I wanted in 2007 was ever, I thought I was going to be a vegetarian. This carnivore, what? My doc said, looks like you're going to be taking a lot of veggies out my GI doctor, along this process here, because more veggies, fruit were already gone. And I just went to my car and I just sobbed because I thought in order for me to be connected to this world, I would have to be a vegetarian. I mean, that's what my family does. That's what a lot of my people in my family, is just what was kind of culturally there. And so going through that, like, so I didn't want to this was a slow, natural progression based off, like you said, healing one thing and finding out, oh, that many raw vegetables in 2 weeks. Not only did I gain 20 pounds from eating cantaloupes every single day for 2 weeks, I was so sick. It doesn't work for me. But when I eat beef, of all the things, I thrive. And beef, the cow in my country, is a whole, you don't eat, they roam free. So, transition here, it's very, very slow, and one thing at a time, one thing at a time. Absolutely.
I got to ask you, when you started eating the beef and you felt better versus the eating the vegetables with that mindset of, oh, I've got to be a vegetarian, how did that make you feel? I want to know what went on in your head, because that had to be kind of an aha moment, but you didn't want to admit it probably at first. Oh my gosh, this cow can't be giving me nutrition, and then this thing from the earth, which is supposed to be the bee's knees of all diets, that's hurting me. Like, that had to like mess with your brain a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. I think so. For me, like, you mentioned being in the closet. I think I was a closet carnivore in the beginning, the first few months. Like, not just that, like, at least luckily in my family, nobody gives me anything for eating beef. They don't really care. But I definitely felt like, because of, you know, the stigma around it with the cholesterol and all of that, that was what I was more afraid of telling people about, because my heart disease runs rampant in my family, and my dad's side rampant. And so this is going to be a problem if I'm eating this much beef. In fact, they ask me, how's your cholesterol, how's your cholesterol? I tell them good, because you know what, it is good. It is, according to my body and what my body needs. It's good, you know what I mean, according to what other people might think it would not be good, probably, for them. But for me, it's good. And so I just had to really come to terms with, like, this is where I ended up, um, and use that whole, like, practice of authenticity, and, like, look, I'm thriving and this is where I am now. I'm completely open about it. But yeah, I went so back and forth there, um this year. January of this year. And look, I didn't start this account till April, and still then I was kind of like, I don't know, but here we are. Everybody knows it's all out, and I think that just allowing myself to know that I feel good. And I also, I have a dietary consultant now that I decided to invest in so I could really learn more. And I think that was key for me. Understanding my own metabolic panel,
Yes.
me see that, you know what, I'm good. I'm good. I'm better than I've ever been. I mean, my last results came back. Even my primary care physician was like, yeah, I mean, this looks good. Everything looks good. Where 2 years ago, a lot of those numbers were looking not that great. you know, Everything was good.
Are you tired of playing the mask game? Me too. That's why I wanted to tell you about the Unmask. This is a breathable, completely breathable. It covers, you can't even see that it's breathable, but it's breathable. Whether you're going on a plane, having to go into a store and wearing this thing, playthemaskgame.com is how you can get this mask. They come in all kinds of colors and everything. In fact, right there, you can see right through it what it is, but when you're wearing it, it does not look like it's anything different, but it's breathable, baby. Playthemaskgame.com.
Yeah, and the goodness kind of evolves over time, and plus it depends on your doctor. There's some doctors that see certain numbers on your cholesterol panel, for example, and they freak out.
Yeah.
And then you point out, but what about this one and this one? Talking about like triglycerides,
Yeah.
maybe looking at like insulin level, maybe looking at inflammation levels. All of those kind of tell the tale of how you're doing in your health, and the numbers don't lie. So how are you doing today with the ulcerative colitis, the eating disorder? Would you say you're in remission from those things? Obviously with the propensity that they could pop back up at any moment, but do you feel confident that eating mostly animal-based foods has kind of helped heal that along with some of the other things you're doing?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I have been in remission now from ulcerative colitis basically since I went full keto in 2017. And then I started implementing intermittent fasting with that. Actually, I followed your journey with that whole long fast that you did too. I don't know, years back. But so I started implementing that, and in 2019, for the very first time, my colonoscopy came back absolutely pristine. They're like, "What have you been doing?" And I said, "Well, I do keto when I fast." They're like, "Well, whatever you're doing, keep doing that." And so since then, now, because of that, my doctors over at the VA, who know me very well for years, are 100% on board. They know what my numbers look like. They're very much on board of the ratios with the cholesterol. And so that's a really good thing. Whereas, the doctors over at the insurance company over there, they're a little bit different because they don't know my history. But yeah, so anxiety, gone. Um, the latest for me, talking about a slow progression, was I realized that stevia and monk fruit sweeteners were starting to become a problem for me. I know that's not for everybody. I used them for years on this journey. Those two, well, I don't know about monk fruit, but definitely like stevia and other type of natural sweeteners. And it just got to a point where I started noticing that there was kicking up a craving. So those two things just recently went down. I'm very, very active with my therapists, with my, my network, my recovery rooms, so that I can continue this lifestyle. But the craziest thing, I had a weird eye condition. Well, I was poked in the eye back in 2006 so badly that I thought I went blind, and it never fully healed. And the flap um, when I would go to sleep at night, sometimes from the REM movement, it would open it up, and then it would be painful. So it was like in my dream, I was having this pain in my eye, and then when I wake up in the morning, I would have to wake up really slowly and open my left eye. I just noticed I've been now carnivore, or animal based, I should say, since the beginning of this year. And It's gone. It's completely gone. This is something that bothered me a couple times a week, more than a couple times a week. I would have to open my eyes slowly. If not, it would aggravate it and then be a lot of pain, a lot of tears, and I would have to like walk around the house like this until it went away.
Yeah.
And it's gone. It's gone. That's the latest thing. That was like one of the last things that I was having a problem with. Inflammation is gone. My lower back pain are gone. My cramps from like, I used to get really bad cramps from that time of the month. Now I don't even know. I have to track it because I don't even know when it's coming because I don't have any of that. PTSD, I used to have panic attacks. Oh, Jimmy, like you wouldn't believe, in the closet, freaking out.
Yeah.
Gone. Gone.
See, what you're demonstrating here, and thank you for sharing all those stories, especially the eye thing. That's pretty cool. Is nutrition is powerful. I think we look at nutrition as eat better. You know, okay, just eat better. And people don't really know what eat better means. And so for you, eat better wasn't eat more vegetables because that made you not better. Eat better meant you needed more animal foods and you saw better results. You're seeing better results. And I feel like we don't emphasize nutrition as a powerful modality like a drug. If people saw nutrition like a drug, then they would treat it more carefully and treat it more prescriptively of I need to eat this way, for example, a carnivore diet, in order to heal my body, rather than, well, I gotta eat, so let me just randomly put foods in my mouth and okay, that was that. Rather than, maybe if I eat mostly just beef today and maybe a few eggs and I eat that to nourish my body, that's actually a drug for my body to help heal it. Now, I kind of don't like that, but also like it at the same time. I don't like the idea of people thinking they need a drug, but that's the vernacular. We think that health comes in a pill and in a drug, so we could flip the script and say, you know what, your diet is a drug.
Right, right. And I think that if anything, the carnivore diet is a great, like, people do elimination diets all the time. I think it's a great, an animal-based sort of, let's say, strict carnivore diet, it just for a short period of time for people to heal their bodies. They don't have to care, I wasn't expecting to be doing this long, to be quite honest with you. I thought that I would slowly start to introduce some foods back in. And at this point, I feel so good. I'm just going to continue to do this year of lots of testing on my body and see how I do. And just kind of one day at a time, like I've done with sobriety and now sugar addiction, just one day at a time, continue to see how I thrive on this.
So, Sweta, you call yourself the carnivore hippie, and you were like thrilled when I started following you. You're like, oh my God, Jimmy Moore's following me. And you didn't realize I was following you. I followed you for about a month before you realized it. And then you followed me and you're like, oh my gosh, he's following me. But it caught my attention. I still don't fully know what you mean by that. So why don't you elucidate?
Yeah, so I am a dirt worshiping, tree hugging, nature loving, meditation, peace and love kind of person. And, I'm a very spiritual, like I'm very into that whole sort of hippie concept. And so I chose this specifically because it feels like a lot of people think that when they hear hippie, they hear vegetarian, they hear, they hear veganism, they have a very specific idea. I wanted to show them that hippies can be nature loving, primal beings, like eating meat. This is part of, if we were to go, my friend Austin Savage, then he does Combat Kitchen podcast, said to me once that he told his mom, hey mom, if I put you out in the woods, what would you go with that? And this is all we had. What would you go for? It's like, what would you go for? Naturally, as humans, I'd go for a deer out here in Virginia. I mean, I'm not getting any berries anywhere that I can eat, but deer are plentiful here, and I would be eating that thing nose to tail. What is unnatural about that?